Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel Expensive Coins, where we uncover the most valuable and sought-after treasures in the world of coin collecting. If you love rare finds, hidden history, and the thrill of turning a small coin into a fortune, then make sure to like, subscribe, and also share this video. Today, we are diving into the top 5 rare 5-cent coins, Buffalo nickels, from the years 1923, 1925, 1927, 1929, and 1936, United States of America. These coins, especially in their rare silver-sided tones or even in dirty, worn condition, have become legendary in the numismatic market. They are not just pieces of metal, but powerful symbols of America's past, and some of the most valuable coins that collectors chase today. The Buffalo nickel, designed by James Earl Fraser, is one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. With its bold Native American profile on the obverse and the proud American bison on the reverse, it captures the true spirit of America's frontier. Minted from 1913 to 1938, these coins are highly collectible, and certain years, like the ones we are looking at today, are especially rare and valuable. Let's start with first one. The 1923 Buffalo nickel, a coin that at first glance looks small, ordinary, and even rugged, but in truth holds a secret power. This 5-cent piece is more than just money, it is a ticket to fortune. Imagine holding a coin so rare, so precious, that in the right condition and variety, it could be worth millions of dollars in today's market. The 1923 Buffalo nickel is not just a collectible. It is a miracle of history, a piece of metal that has the ability to transform your destiny overnight. The Buffalo nickel was born from a desire to celebrate the American spirit. In 1913, the U.S. Mint introduced this coin, replacing the Liberty Head nickel with a design that represented strength, pride, and identity. On the front, we see the rugged profile of a Native American chief, drawn from the combined features of real leaders of the time. On the back, a mighty buffalo, an animal that symbolized the wild, untamed heart of America, stands proudly. The design captured the soul of a nation, and by 1923, the Buffalo nickel had already become a beloved part of everyday life. But here's the secret: not every Buffalo nickel is equal. Some carry extraordinary mistakes, others were struck in limited numbers, and some have survived the test of time in conditions so pristine they defy belief. The 1923 Buffalo nickel belongs to this category of hidden treasures, a coin that may look like pocket change but, under the right circumstances, is valued higher than gold. It is this hidden potential that makes the 1923 issue one of the most exciting discoveries for collectors today. Now, picture this: millions of these coins circulated in the roaring 1920s, passed from hand to hand in busy markets, smoky speakeasies, and bustling train stations. Over time, most were worn down, scratched, or lost. Finding one today in perfect condition, sharp details, strong strike, untouched surfaces, is like finding a needle in a haystack. And yet, that single needle could make you a millionaire overnight. That is the allure of the 1923 Buffalo nickel. What makes the coin so extraordinary is not just its design or history, but the rare varieties and errors that came out of the mint that year. Some 1923 nickels reveal weak strikes, others carry doubling in the lettering, and a few even show off-center designs. For collectors, these anomalies are not flaws but treasures. A rare 1923 error nickel can command unimaginable prices, because it is unique, a one-of-a-kind work of art struck by accident. The 1923 Buffalo nickel also shines in its condition rarity. A regular worn example may seem modest, but once you elevate it to mint state condition, with no scratches, no blemishes, and all the details of the chief's feathers and the buffalo's fur intact, the value skyrockets into the stratosphere. These coins, when certified at the highest grades, have stunned the auction world, sometimes selling for prices that would leave anyone breathless. Collectors describe the thrill of holding a gem-quality Buffalo nickel as unlike anything else. The Native American's profile leaps from the surface with lifelike detail, and the buffalo stands proudly with texture so vivid you can almost feel the animal's power. To own such a coin is to own a piece of America's story frozen in time, untouched by the century that has passed since it was struck. Imagine finding one in your grandfather's old jar of coins, forgotten for decades. To the untrained eye, it might look like an old nickel, dirty and worn. But under the loupe of a collector, it could turn out to be a perfectly preserved 1923 gem or even a rare error variety. That small discovery could mean the difference between ordinary pocket change and a life-changing fortune. This is what makes the hunt for the 1923 Buffalo nickel so electrifying. It is not just collecting, it is treasure hunting. The market for Buffalo nickels has only grown hotter over time. Collectors across the world compete fiercely to add the 1923 issue to their sets. With each passing year, high-grade examples become scarcer, and demand pushes values higher and higher. The coin that was once worth only 5 cents now has the power to command millions, especially when rare varieties are involved. This transformation alone is enough to prove the 1923 Buffalo nickel's legendary status. The true beauty of this coin lies not only in its market value but in what it represents. It tells the story of a country honoring its roots, paying tribute to its people, and celebrating its land. It reminds us that greatness can come from humble beginnings, that even a small 5-cent piece can hold the weight of history and the promise of unimaginable wealth. Many collectors see the Buffalo nickel as the most American of all coins. The 1923 issue, in particular, has become a symbol of both nostalgia and fortune. To hold it is to step back into the jazz age, to feel the energy of the Roaring Twenties, and at the same time, to realize you might be holding $1 million fortune in the palm of your hand. Auction houses know the power of this coin. When a pristine 1923 Buffalo nickel comes up for sale, bidders prepare for war. The room fills with anticipation, hands rise, and prices soar. Each sale writes a new chapter in the legend of this coin, cementing its reputation as one of the most valuable nickels ever struck in America. What makes the 1923 issue so thrilling is that it still hides among us. Somewhere in old collections, tucked into cigar boxes, sitting in forgotten drawers, there are nickels that could change lives. All it takes is one lucky discovery, one sharp-eyed person who realizes what they found, to turn an ordinary day into the day they became a millionaire. So, if you ever come across a 1923 Buffalo nickel, don't ignore it. Look closely, treat it with care, and recognize the fortune it may carry. It is a coin of legend, a coin of wealth, and a coin with the power to rewrite your story in an instant. And that is why the 1923 Buffalo nickel remains one of the most valuable, expensive, and ultra-rare 5-cent coins ever minted in the United States. More than just money, it is destiny carved in metal, a treasure that could transform your fortune overnight. Next, the 1925 Buffalo nickel, a 5-cent piece that is far more than just pocket change. To the untrained eye, it looks like a small old coin from nearly a century ago, but to collectors and historians, it is a masterpiece of history and value. This coin, struck at a time when America was roaring through the 1920s, carries within it a secret. In the right condition and variety, it can be worth millions of dollars in today's market. Imagine holding something so small, yet so powerful, a coin that has the ability to change your fortune overnight. The Buffalo nickel itself was designed to capture the heart of America. Introduced in 1913, its design was bold, rugged, and different from anything before it. On one side, we see the proud and striking profile of a Native American chief, his features drawn from the real faces of tribal leaders of the time. On the other side, the mighty buffalo stands tall, representing strength, endurance, and the raw spirit of the American frontier. By 1925, this design had already become iconic, and the coins were passing through millions of hands daily. But among those ordinary nickels, there were rare ones that today could buy mansions, cars, and an entirely new lifestyle. The magic of the 1925 Buffalo nickel lies in its scarcity and condition rarity. Most of the coins struck that year were heavily used, worn down until the details of the Native Americans' feathers and the buffalo's fur nearly vanished. But a select few survived in pristine, untouched condition. These are the coins that collectors dream about, the ones that shine as if they had just left the mint, carrying a value today that reaches into the millions. Owning such a coin is like holding lightning in your hand. It is that rare and that powerful. Beyond condition, the 1925 nickel is also famous for its fascinating errors and varieties. Some coins from that year came out of the mint with weak strikes, where details appear faint or incomplete. Others display doubling on the letters or numbers, creating a dramatic and highly collectible effect. There are even stories of off-center strikes, where the design is shifted in a way that transforms the coin into a one-of-a-kind treasure. These rare varieties send collectors into a frenzy, as each one is unique and cannot be duplicated. Now imagine finding one of these rare gems in a dusty coin jar, sitting quietly in a box of forgotten change. To most people, it would seem like an old nickel with no worth beyond 5 cents. But to someone with knowledge, that very coin could represent a hidden fortune, capable of making them a millionaire overnight. This is the thrill and mystery of the 1925 Buffalo nickel. It hides among us, waiting for discovery. What makes this coin even more captivating is the story it tells of America's past. The 1920s were a decade of energy, growth, and cultural explosion. Jazz music filled the streets, technology was racing ahead, and fortunes were being made and lost. The 1925 Buffalo nickel carries that energy in its metal. When you hold it, you don't just hold money. You hold a piece of history from the Roaring Twenties, a time when the nation was defining its future. Collectors know the extraordinary power of the 1925 issue. Auction houses around the world have seen pristine examples of this nickel set records, commanding staggering sums of money from passionate bidders. Each time one surfaces, the room buzzes with anticipation. Collectors lock eyes, the bidding war begins, and the price climbs higher and higher until it reaches heights that seem unimaginable for a coin once worth just 5 cents. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1925 Buffalo nickel is the way it blends art, history, and wealth into one small piece of metal. It is not just currency, it is a canvas where American pride was etched, where mistakes of the mint turned into priceless treasures, and where time itself added layers of rarity. Every line of the Native American's face, every curve of the buffalo's back, carries weight far beyond its size. This is why the 1925 nickel is more than a collectible, it is a symbol of fortune. For those lucky enough to own one, it represents success, destiny, and wealth. For those still searching, it represents hope, the idea that maybe, just maybe, the coin in their hand could be the one that transforms their lives. The allure is irresistible, because the possibility is real. The market for Buffalo nickels is not slowing down. In fact, as time passes, these coins only become rarer and more valuable. Collectors are willing to pay unimaginable sums for the 1925 issue, especially in gem condition or with extraordinary mint errors. What once jingled in the pockets of ordinary Americans now rests in velvet-lined cases, guarded like the treasures they truly are. Every coin collector knows the golden rule: never underestimate the power of an old coin. The 1925 Buffalo nickel proves this rule beyond doubt. It is the very definition of hidden wealth, small, unassuming, yet capable of altering lives. And what makes it even more exciting is that it still could be out there, waiting for you to discover it in a place you least expect. So, if you ever come across a 1925 Buffalo nickel, hold it tight and don't let it go cheaply. Look closely, study it carefully, and recognize the fortune it may hold. This is not just another coin. It is a key to unlocking unimaginable wealth, a key that could rewrite your destiny in a single moment. The story of the 1925 Buffalo nickel is one of history, mystery, and fortune all rolled into one. It is proof that the smallest things can hold the greatest power, that even a 5-cent coin can rise to a value so extraordinary it defies imagination. And that, my friends, is why the 1925 Buffalo nickel remains one of the most valuable, expensive, and ultra-rare treasures in American history. A coin capable of turning an ordinary person into a millionaire overnight. Next is the 1927 Buffalo nickel. This 5-cent piece may look small in size, but in the world of collectors, it looms larger than life. Hidden in its rugged design is a fortune so massive that it can make someone a millionaire overnight. Yes, the 1927 Buffalo nickel is no ordinary coin. It is a piece of history, a work of art, and a financial powerhouse that commands prices in the millions in today's market. Those who understand its value never let it go for cheap, because this coin carries the power to transform fortunes in an instant. The Buffalo nickel series has always been admired, but the 1927 issue has something especially captivating about it. Struck during a decade when America was finding its rhythm in the Roaring Twenties, it reflects both the pride and resilience of the nation. On one side, you see the striking image of a Native American chief, his profile fierce and dignified. On the other, the mighty buffalo stands tall, symbolizing strength, endurance, and the unbroken spirit of the land. But in 1927, the production of these coins was not flawless. Weak strikes, errors, and limited survival in high-grade condition make this year particularly scarce and valuable today. Many of the 1927 Buffalo nickels that entered circulation were used heavily in daily commerce. Over time, the designs wore down, feathers faded, buffalo details vanished, and the date often became faint or completely erased. That is why finding a sharp, well-preserved 1927 nickel is like uncovering buried treasure. Collectors go to extraordinary lengths, bidding outrageous amounts, just to secure one of these elusive coins in mint condition. A pristine example is not just rare, it is practically legendary. Adding to the thrill is the existence of mint errors and varieties from 1927. Some coins were struck slightly off-center, giving them a unique, one-of-a-kind look that collectors adore. Others show doubling on the date or the lettering, making them stand out as minting anomalies that fetch even higher prices. These rare mistakes, once considered imperfections, have now become golden opportunities, turning a single coin into a millionaire maker. What truly excites collectors about the 1927 Buffalo nickel is its ability to connect the past with the present. Each time you hold this coin, you are holding a fragment of America's roaring 20s. Imagine the hands it might have passed through, a young worker earning wages, a family buying groceries, or perhaps a traveler on the move across a rapidly modernizing nation. This little nickel was part of those lives, but today, it has risen above its humble beginnings to become a beacon of wealth and history combined. The auction stories of 1927 Buffalo nickels are legendary. Collectors from all over the world compete fiercely whenever one appears. Bidding wars erupt, with prices climbing higher and higher until they reach unimaginable sums. A single coin, once worth just 5 cents, can suddenly soar into the millions, leaving jaws dropped and dreams ignited. The drama of those auctions reminds us just how powerful this coin truly is. What makes the 1927 nickel even more special is that many of them may still be hiding among us. They could be sitting quietly in an old box of coins, tucked away in a family drawer, or waiting in a forgotten jar of change. The idea that one of these little nickels could still be discovered today is thrilling. That possibility alone is enough to keep collectors and treasure hunters searching, hoping to stumble upon that life-changing prize. The beauty of the Buffalo nickel is that it was more than just money, it was a symbol. Its rugged, bold design represented America's frontier spirit, its people, and its culture. For collectors, owning the 1927 issue is not just about financial gain. It is about holding a masterpiece that embodies resilience and pride. Every line, every curve on this coin tells a story that is timeless and irreplaceable. It is this combination of art, rarity, and fortune that makes the 1927 Buffalo nickel so desirable. Few coins manage to tick all these boxes, but this one does. It is beautiful, it is scarce, and it has the power to change lives forever. That is why collectors and investors alike treat it like gold, or even better than gold, because its value is not just tied to metal but to history, demand, and rarity. Imagine, for a moment, being the lucky individual who uncovers a mint-condition 1927 nickel. That single discovery could turn into a mansion, luxury cars, or financial security for generations. This is not fantasy. It is reality, proven time and again in auctions where the coin's price skyrockets into 7 figures. That is why this coin is whispered about among collectors with reverence and awe. Even if you never plan to sell it, owning a 1927 Buffalo nickel is like holding a trophy. It is proof that fortune can favor the prepared, that history rewards those who recognize hidden gems. It is a reminder that extraordinary wealth can sometimes hide in the smallest, most unexpected places. For those who have one, the advice is simple: do not let it go cheaply. Too many people in the past unknowingly spent their 1927 nickels without realizing the treasure in their hands. But now, with knowledge, you can recognize its true worth. This coin is not just worth holding, it is worth guarding with your life. The story of the 1927 Buffalo nickel is the story of hidden power. From 5 cents to millions of dollars, from everyday pockets to elite collections, it has traveled an incredible journey. It is proof that history and wealth can meet in the most unlikely of forms, and that sometimes, the smallest things can change lives forever. So if fate places a 1927 Buffalo nickel in your hand, remember this: you are not just holding a coin. You are holding a miracle of chance, a masterpiece of design, and a fortune waiting to unfold. Next is the 1929 Buffalo nickel is one of those treasures in American coinage that carries with it an aura of mystery, prestige, and unimaginable wealth. At first glance, it might seem like just another 5-cent piece, but beneath its small size lies the power to change a person's life overnight. Today, in the collector's market, this coin is considered so rare and valuable that its worth climbs into the millions, and owning one could be the very ticket to becoming a millionaire without warning. It is not just a nickel, It is a golden opportunity disguised in copper-nickel alloy, a fortune hidden in plain sight. Minted in the late 1920s, during a time when the United States was enjoying economic highs before the devastating Great Depression, the 1929 Buffalo nickel has become more than a coin. It is a relic of an era, a frozen piece of history that has survived against the odds. Designed by James Earl Fraser, its bold and rugged appearance reflects the nation's spirit, one side showing the powerful profile of a Native American chief, the other the enduring image of the American bison. The 1929 issue carries this legacy with pride, but its rarity makes it stand apart from other years in a way that collectors and investors cannot resist. One of the key reasons why the 1929 Buffalo nickel commands such value today is its scarcity in top condition. Most of these nickels were heavily used in everyday transactions. People carried them in their pockets, exchanged them in shops, and spent them on daily necessities. Over decades of circulation, the designs wore down, the dates faded, and many coins simply vanished from existence. That is why finding a 1929 nickel in pristine, uncirculated condition is like stumbling across a hidden treasure chest. It almost never happens, and when it does, the coin's value skyrockets. Adding to its mystique are the minting quirks and errors that make certain 1929 nickels even more desirable. Off-center strikes, double dates, or faintly misaligned designs give these coins an unusual look that collectors crave. A single small minting anomaly can push the value of a 1929 Buffalo nickel into unimaginable heights, turning a rare coin into an ultra-rare fortune. These variations are like unique fingerprints, ensuring that no two rare examples are exactly alike, which only fuels the passion of serious collectors. Imagine holding this coin in your hand. At first, it feels like any ordinary nickel. But then you realize, it's from 1929, a year that now exists only in black and white photographs and history books. You picture the people who may have once held it, a young worker in a bustling city, a family scraping by during the final days of economic boom, or perhaps a farmer purchasing supplies. That same coin, passed from hand to hand in everyday life, could now be worth millions in today's collector market. The thought alone is enough to make your heart race. The market for the 1929 Buffalo nickel is fierce, and when one appears in an auction, it sparks intense bidding wars. Collectors from around the globe compete relentlessly, driving prices higher and higher, unwilling to let such a rare piece slip away. These battles often end with the coin being sold for staggering amounts, leaving audiences stunned at how a 5-cent piece can command the kind of money that changes lives forever. The sheer drama of these sales has cemented the 1929 nickel's reputation as a coin of legend. But the real beauty of the 1929 Buffalo nickel is that it might still be out there, hiding in unexpected places. Perhaps it rests unnoticed in an old jar of coins, a forgotten drawer in a desk, or tucked away in a box of family heirlooms. This possibility gives hope to treasure hunters and coin enthusiasts everywhere, that one lucky find could be all it takes to unlock a new life of fortune and prosperity. It is this dream, this spark of possibility, that makes the search for the 1929 nickel so thrilling. For serious collectors, the 1929 Buffalo nickel represents the perfect trifecta: artistic beauty, historical importance, and staggering value. Fraser's design is timeless, its history is rich, and its rarity unmatched. To own one is not just about financial gain, it is about holding a masterpiece that connects you to America's spirit, its struggles, and its triumphs. Every line of the chief's face, every curve of the buffalo, tells a story of resilience and strength that transcends time. What truly sets the 1929 issue apart is that it sits on the cusp of a historic shift. Within the next year, the Great Depression would strike, reshaping the nation's financial and cultural landscape forever. That makes the 1929 Buffalo nickel not only a coin of immense rarity but also a coin of symbolic significance. It represents the end of an era, the last glow of prosperity before the storm. This deeper meaning adds to its value, both emotionally and financially. For anyone fortunate enough to find one of these coins, the advice is clear: do not let it go at a low price. This is not a coin to be treated as ordinary change. It is a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that holds the power to transform your destiny. Too many people in the past unknowingly spent these treasures, unaware of their future worth, but today, knowledge is power. And knowing what the 1929 Buffalo nickel is truly worth means you hold the key to untold wealth. The allure of this coin is not just about its monetary value, it is about the thrill of owning something so rare that only a handful of people in the world can claim it. It becomes more than wealth, it becomes prestige, legacy, and a story you can pass down through generations. To say you own a 1929 Buffalo nickel in pristine condition is to place yourself in an elite class of collectors who hold history itself in their hands. Every coin has a story, but few tell one as compelling as the 1929 Buffalo nickel. It is a story of survival, rarity, beauty, and fortune. It is the tale of how a small 5-cent coin, meant for simple purchases nearly a century ago, can rise to unimaginable heights in today's world. This is why it continues to capture imaginations, why it remains one of the most sought-after treasures in American coinage. And the best part? The 1929 Buffalo nickel proves that sometimes the greatest treasures are not buried deep underground or locked away in vaults. They are hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by those who recognize their true worth. It is a reminder that fortune favors the watchful, and history rewards those who treasure its artifacts. So if fate ever places a 1929 Buffalo nickel in your possession, remember this. You are not simply holding a coin. You are holding $1 million miracle, a piece of America's roaring past, and a fortune with the power to change your future overnight. Next is the 1936 Buffalo nickel is a coin that carries both majesty and mystery, a 5-cent piece that today holds the power to change lives forever. While it was born in an era of hope and recovery, just as America was slowly pulling itself out of the Great Depression, it has risen far beyond its modest purpose as simple currency. This small coin, weighing only a few grams, has become one of the most expensive and ultra-rare treasures in American numismatics. In today's collector market, a pristine 1936 Buffalo nickel has the ability to reach values in the millions, making it a coin that could turn an unsuspecting finder into an overnight millionaire. The story of this coin begins with its design, created by James Earl Fraser, one of the most celebrated sculptors of his time. His bold imagery of the proud Native American chief on one side and the mighty buffalo on the other was more than just artwork. It was a tribute to the heritage, strength, and endurance of America. By 1936, this design had already been in use for over 2 decades, but coins from this year carry a charm and appeal that make them especially desirable to collectors. It was a year of transition, one of the last before the Buffalo nickel would be replaced by the Jefferson design, which makes surviving pieces even more significant. What makes the 1936 issue so valuable is not just its age but also its rarity in top condition. Most nickels were circulated heavily during the 1930s. Families used them to buy groceries, to pay for transportation, or simply to get through the tough days of the Depression. This constant use wore down the fine details of the design. Finding a coin from 1936 with sharp features, a visible date, and crisp lines is almost like finding a diamond in the rough. It's extremely rare, and rarity always fuels value. Adding even more fire to its reputation are the special strikes and minting varieties of the 1936 Buffalo nickel. This year, the U.S. Mint produced both regular circulation coins and special proof strikes for collectors. The proof nickels, made with extra care and polished dies, shimmer with a mirror-like finish and breathtaking detail. These proof examples are among the most coveted treasures in the coin world, and when they surface in auctions, their prices climb into unimaginable figures. Even a single 1936 proof Buffalo nickel can command a fortune today. Beyond proofs, error coins from 1936 add yet another layer of rarity. Mistruck coins, double dies, or off-center examples are like rare gems within an already valuable series. Collectors are willing to pay extraordinary amounts for these anomalies because they represent a one-of-a-kind slice of minting history. Each flaw makes the coin even more unique, and uniqueness always equals greater value. Imagine for a moment discovering one of these coins in an old box, tucked away in a family collection, or hidden inside a jar of change passed down through generations. You might think at first that it's just an old nickel, nothing more. But upon closer inspection, you see the date, 1936, and realize what you're holding. That simple realization could be the moment your entire life changes, the moment you go from everyday living to holding a fortune worth millions. When these coins appear at auctions, the scene is nothing short of electrifying. Collectors and investors from around the world battle fiercely for ownership, driving bids to heights that stun even the most experienced market watchers. Each sale makes headlines in the numismatic community, proving time and again that the 1936 Buffalo nickel is not just a collectible, it is a legend. Part of the coin's mystique also comes from its historical timing. By 1936, America was trying to rebuild its spirit after years of hardship. The Buffalo nickel, with its strong imagery, symbolized resilience, strength, and survival. To own one today is to own a piece of that story, a reminder of how the nation endured and overcame. This deeper historical connection elevates the coin's value beyond money. It makes it a piece of living history. Collectors treasure the 1936 Buffalo nickel not only for its worth, but also for its artistic brilliance. Every line in the Native American's face, every curve of the buffalo's form, tells a story of authenticity and heritage. Fraser's design is regarded as one of the most iconic in U.S. coinage, and the 1936 issue is one of its crowning moments. To hold one is to hold a miniature work of art that transcends its original 5-cent denomination. For those fortunate enough to possess this coin, the advice is simple yet powerful: never let it go cheaply. Its value is far beyond ordinary money. Too many people in the past unknowingly spent these nickels, unaware of their destiny as million-dollar treasures. Today, knowledge is your greatest weapon. If you own a 1936 Buffalo nickel in exceptional condition, you hold the key to immense wealth. The emotional pull of this coin is just as strong as its financial one. Owning a 1936 Buffalo nickel is not simply about profit. It's about belonging to an elite group of collectors who preserve America's heritage. It's about the pride of knowing that you own something so rare, so historically important, that only a select few in the entire world can claim the same. And yet, what makes this coin most thrilling is the possibility that one could still be discovered unexpectedly. Hidden away in an attic, stored in an old cigar box, or tucked inside a dusty safe deposit box, a 1936 Buffalo nickel may be waiting right now for someone to stumble upon it. That element of surprise, that chance at sudden fortune, makes the hunt for this coin one of the most exciting adventures in numismatics. Every 1936 Buffalo nickel tells a story, and every story adds to its legend. It is not just about survival, rarity, or artistry. It is about the magic of possibility. The possibility that a 5-cent piece, once used for a loaf of bread, could today be the spark that changes someone's fortune overnight.